took about, I want to say it took about 23. We were in the car for 23 hours, which is insane. And during this drive, though, I'll tell you what, you get to learn your relatives really well when you're sitting in the car with them for a really long time. And I had a great time with the kids, and grandma was there. And so, we were all in there getting to know each other, getting to hate each other, getting to fight each other. But at the end of the day, it was a really good trip. For those of you who live in Orlando, if I didn't get a chance to see you, no disrespect. I'm just I was actually trying to get away for a little while and do something a little bit different. Now, actually, what I want to talk about today, I want to actually talk about something that is on the minds of a lot of people, and probably not an easy topic to discuss because a lot of messages get misinterpreted in today's political climate. The climate is one where people are people believe that their truth is the only truth, which is kind of your way to being a complete idiot. Is if you believe that what you believe is all that there is to believe, and that there's nothing else out there, then just go pick up your idiot card right now, because you're not helping the country to grow. You're not helping people get better. I want to say what's up, Lucy and Nakia and Sabrina and Darius and Zontarius, and that's a great name, Zontarius, Ricks, Daisy and Kimberly Christian. How you doing? Good to see you. Camera for live from Sacktown. Sacktown is where Sibo, one of my favorite rappers, is out of Sacktown. I got corrected. I thought he was from the Bay Area, and they said no, he's not from the Bay Area. He's from Sacktown. So big shout out to Sibo, whose album Till My Casket Drops was right up there with Death Certificate in terms of just the best albums out there for black men. Death Certificate, Till My Casket Drops, and what was the other one that Tupac did? All Eyes on Me. Three of my favorite, just straight, high testosterone albums of all time. I'm telling on myself, but that's really good music. Sometimes brothers need something for us. I think we live in a feminized society. We live in a very, honestly, kind of pussy ass world now, where everything that's male and that's strong is seen as toxic masculinity. Well, let's just be clear. All masculinity ain't toxic. Toxic masculinity is toxic masculinity, but all masculinity ain't toxic. Some of that masculinity that people call it toxic one minute, next minute they try to get close to you because they need that masculinity when times get tough, when everybody gets a little nervous. So don't hate on masculinity. Point out the toxic, right? We got the people that beat on women. That's not acceptable. A real man does not hit a woman ever. You really don't have to ever hit a woman. Let's just be clear. Even if she hit you first, no, I'm not going to justify you hitting her back because you're a man. She's a woman. But then also, with masculinity, you got the other highly masculine people that are harmful, rapists and stuff like that. Ain't nobody would ever support any of that. But just a man being a man, I believe in that. I think that's okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So if you are a man, then be a man. Ain't no wrong with being a man. Just know what that means, though. Know what that means. Being a man does not mean you getting with every girl that you see. If you become a smart man, you learn how to discern between low quality and high quality women in terms of women that you want in your life. You bring the wrong women in your life, that'll destroy you. So manhood is about more than just I'm gonna go kill somebody, beat somebody up, go have sex with 1,000 women. Manhood is about understanding, the responsibility that comes with power and strength, and the necessity to exert that strength in scenarios where you're taking care of the people that you care about. The essence of manhood really is, I believe, a protective energy, right? It's protective and supportive, and sometimes being man enough to know when to stand down and even let the woman take the lead. People don't talk about that much, but there are times where as a man, you're like, hey, you know what, baby, I talked to a friend of mine who's a lawyer, high powered attorney, married a very prominent, famous black woman. I'm not going to say her name because y'all know who she is, and I ain't putting his business out there. But I talked to him. I said, it takes a real man for you to be married to a woman who gets that much attention. She gets a lot of attention because she's beautiful, because she's famous, and she's rich. I don't know if she makes more money than him, but it might be close. And the thing was that we agreed on is that, as a man, you have to know when to just kind of sit back. You can't be one of these insecure guys that gets mad because somebody wants her autograph or they interrupted dinner or some other guy thinks she's pretty. She's with you. That's your woman. She's with you. Why are you getting jealous because some other man thinks she's pretty? And believe me, then the more insecurity you show, the less attracted to you that she'll be. So effectively, by being insecure, you think you're protecting what you have, but really you're actually jeopardizing what you have, because people can smell insecurity. They can smell when you're not feeling comfortable or confident with who you are. It takes a long time to figure that out. So that's just like a quick little message for young guys out here that are trying to figure some things out. Now let me grab. I'm looking. I had something. There it is. Okay, I was looking for my stuff. All right, so let me jump into the topic for today because I know I'm going to piss some people off with this topic. As I get started, hit the thumbs up button, the share button, the like button, subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, especially, hit that thumbs up button. Also, anywhere else you are, Instagram, anywhere else, make sure you follow us, connect. Text the word voice to 31996 if you want to get a notification when we go live. Just text my name, voice, to 31996, and you'll get a text. Most of the time when I go live, I won't text you too much, but I might text you like once every day or so because there's always something to talk about. I was talking to somebody today about a topic that I thought was worth bringing up, and it had to do with a very prickly issue. Only intelligent Black people are going to be able to follow what I'm talking about. If you're a dumbass, just leave, go, follow your favorite rapper or something. This isn't the place for you. This requires discernment. Where you can understand that when I make these remarks, this is not Democrat, Republican. This is not pro Donald Trump, anti-Trump, pro Obama, anti-Obama. This is just pro-Blackness here. I was talking to somebody about all these debates that we're having right now, all these arguments that everybody, the Republicans versus the Democrats in the midterm elections and stuff like that. And there are people who, really feel that voting is a matter of life or death. They literally have a campaign called Vote or Die. I don't know what that means exactly. Vote or die. Does that mean like if I don't vote, I'm going to be dead? Does that mean if I don't vote, they're going to kill me? Or does vote or die did you just pick the slogan, did he, because you think it's cool? Like, what does vote or die really mean? Like, I never really got that answer to really understand it. But I'm guessing maybe vote or die means like, if you don't vote, you're going to perish. If you don't vote, they're going to come get you. The Republicans, the boogeymen, or whatever side you're scared of, because they all train you to be scared. That's how they get you to vote. The Republicans train you to be scared of the Democrats. The Democrats train you to be afraid of the Republicans. So it's always based on fear. It's never based on any sort of empowerment and any empowering energy or any sort of growth energy. It's always built around fear, fear-mongering. And so anybody who criticizes the other side for fear-mongering should sort of check themselves. You're really in a glass house and you're throwing rocks at the other side because you're using fear-mongering just as much as everybody else. But anyway, one of the things we were talking about in this environment was I said, when you really think about it, if you really break it down, we know as Black people that at the end of the day, if you really break it down, if you really get for real about it, it's kind of been made abundantly clear that, that neither the Democrats nor the Republicans really give a fuck about us. Like, and I said, they don't care. I said, look, we're going to sit here. We can argue all day. I can get pissed at you. I can unfriend you on Facebook. I can cuss you out. I can call your mama a dog and tell you I'm never speaking to you again because you had the nerve to vote for Trump or whatever. But at the end of the day, is Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton or whoever these white people are that are in power, are any of these people ever really going to give a shit that I just lost a friend for life because they're a Democrat and I'm a Republican, or I'm a Democrat and they're a Republican? Are they going to really care? Like, is Donald Trump really going to send me a check if I'm a Trump supporter and I really got his back and I'm cussing out all my Black friends and disavowing them because they don't understand my love for Donald Trump, whatever, right? Like really think about that. And so when I thought about that, I said, because really when you break it down, not only do they not care about any of these debates that we're having, they're not gonna come and write you a check or pay your bills or make your life any better. They really care about keeping themselves in power, right? We kind of know how that game is played. Politics is a game where we know voting matters. Votes do count tremendously when it comes to the people that benefit from the votes. Votes just don't benefit Black people, but they count in the sense that if I am if I'm a rich white person and I'm trying to get elected, then hell yeah, I want you to vote for me. I want to fight for your right to vote, because if you get me in power, then I have billions of dollars at my disposal. Shoot, hell yeah, your vote counts, right? It definitely counts for me, because I'm going to be able to do like the Trump family has done. And literally they've made probably $250 million because they've been in the White House. All of his children make at least 10 to 20 or 30 or $40 million a year. Last time I checked, if I'm not mistaken, I think each of his children made in the tens of millions of dollars because they have this White House access, right? So in that regard, we know the votes matter, but in terms of whether it trickles down to the people, that's really debatable. The evidence doesn't really support that, right? So I was thinking about this. I said, you know what? I said, when I really think about it, I said, I think that the reason I probably have opinions that differ from a lot of people is because I watch my parents, right? I watch you learn from your mother and father who you are, what your sense of responsibility is, how you view the world. And one of the things that my family was very big on, we didn't talk much about liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican. That shit never came up. I mean, I remember when Jimmy Carter, goes out, tells you how far back it was. I was a little kid. Jimmy Carter was running against Ronald Reagan. And again, they use the same fear mongering techniques then that they use now. And my parents both voted for Jimmy Carter. They both wanted the Democrat to win, we're like most black people. And I remember being so scared. I mean, petrified, sitting third grade. I'm sitting there talking to my friend, and we are literally scared to death, fear mongering. That's what they do. That's how they control the minds, even of children. We were mortified of the idea of Ronald Reagan becoming president of the United States. Like, I remember thinking, like, we were joking, we were like, yeah, if he becomes president, we're gonna be homeless. If he becomes president, our parents are gonna lose their jobs. Like, we really felt that way. We were scared to death. And so Reagan got elected. It was inevitable. It was a very sad day in the House because, everybody wanted Jimmy Carter to win. And I like Jimmy Carter. He's one of my favorite presidents of all time. If you really study these politicians, Jimmy Carter is one of the few real motherfuckers up in that space. That's why they don't sit next. That's why when they had him, Obama, Clinton, Bush 1 and Bush 2 all together, they had all the former presidents on this side. Jimmy Carter was standing by himself. They were like, we don't even want to stand next to this guy because he's not playing ball. That's the person you want to roll with most of the time, is the person who isn't accepted by the establishment, because we know that the establishment is screwed up. We know this, right? So anyway, I look back on it and I reflected on my life. Thank you, Tony Smith. Wow. Oh, Tony Smith just made a donation on the chat. I appreciate it. Every penny goes back into the community. So I want to say thank you all 100% for anything you've done to help us support the platform. I guarantee you we will make it worth your while. So anybody, thank you in advance for that. But check it out. So Reagan gets elected, right? Worst nightmare, scariest shit ever. Oh my God, Reagan got elected. We're all gonna die. Voter die, whatever the fuck. And so years go by and nothing happens, right, in our house, and nothing bad happens. In fact, I looked back and reflected on my life, and I was like, where did I get my values from? How did I learn how to be who I am? And I thought about that same period, the Reagan era, when I was coming of age in my parents' household. It's the 1980s. Some of y'all ain't old enough to remember the 80s. Some of y'all do the 80s. But if you want to visualize the 80s, just kind of visualize like today, just where everybody's wearing like Michael Jackson costumes and shit. Like that. That's kind of what it like. That's really what it was. Like, it wasn't that much different from what it is now. I kid you not. And so Reagan did a lot of stuff that hurt a lot of poor people. There's no question at all. My mother literally says that when the Reagan era began, she was getting welfare. She was getting, public assistance, food stamps, shit like that. When Reagan got elected, they had to go to a plan B. They went to a different state. They were like, well, I guess that money ain't available no more. So they went to the other stuff, right? And so here's the thing, though. I told my mom, I said, I remember watching you all in the 80s actually go from poverty. We started the 80s in poverty or poor, and we ended the 80s middle class. Like, by the time 1990 came, my parents were, strongly in the middle class. In the beginning of the 80s, we didn't have a lot of money in the house. By the end of the 80s, we had some money kind of floating around. At the beginning of the 80s, my parents were making this income level. At the end of the 80s, they were making about double or triple what they were making before. At the beginning of the 80s, we were renting an apartment. It was a public assistance kind of place. I didn't know it was public assistance. I thought it was a nice place. I just thought it was just a regular place. I didn't find until I was an adult that it was actually for people that can't afford to rent other places, right? And at the beginning of the 80s, we were renting and on, in these subsidized housing. At the end of the 80s, we were homeowners. My parents were homeowners, right? At the beginning of the 80s, my parents were struggling college students with 2 kids, and they stayed married and worked together. At the end of the 80s, they were still married, and they were college graduates, right? So I said, I understand everything that happened during Reaganomics. I understand the crack era, like all the devastation that was done. No question. We know what they did to our community, did to our people. But I said, why was it that our family was in a different space, right? I mean, we were always black. We never stopped being black. most of my friends that I grew up with, my mama was 17 when she gave birth to me. So a lot of her little teenage friends, they were all poor. They all had babies together. So I grew up with a lot of these kids. And a lot of these kids didn't do so well in life. I'm just going to say that. They didn't do so well in life. And I was like, what was the difference? And I concluded that what it was that from the very beginning, one of the things that we just always kind of were led to believe was that what happens in our lives and in our house is mostly going to be affected by our choices, right? That what we choose to do is what's going to determine most of our outcomes. How they were like, how we raised our kids was going to determine whether we raised great kids or really fucked up children, right? And that was always my parents' kind of approach to everything. And it doesn't put them on a pedestal. It doesn't, we're not buying into like the exceptional Negro theory to say that policies don't matter. We know that they matter. But I'll say this, when the public school was trying to screw me and wasn't giving me and my sister what we needed, my mother put us in after school programs, right? When my friends were getting in trouble and their parents would let them off the hook, my parents would punish us. When my parents' friends were getting their paycheck and going out partying and making it rain, my parents said, no, we're going to keep this money and save it so we can go buy a house. Do you follow me? Do you feel me? Are you hearing what I'm saying right now? Right. And so what that led me to think about is, and I asked my mom about it. I said, so what was going on? Like, what do you, how do you reconcile all of that? And what she said was, she said, well, she said, sometimes I would rather deal with a Republican racist than the racist in the Democratic Party. She said, because a Republican racist, maybe from the South, will tell you he don't like you, right? He might even tell you he don't like you because you're black. But a liberal racist will smile in your face and then screw your kids up and hold them back in school. They'll tell you that they love you, but then next thing you know, your son's in special ed and doesn't have a future because of that liberal white woman who cursed him with the extreme curse of low expectations. That's why your black boys ain't growing up into shit. It's not because of the conservative rednecks. Y'all keep them away from them. It's the liberals that are looking at your little son and acting like he can't accomplish shit on his own, that he needs to be basically a walking food stamp or he needs to have a crutch from the time he's born. They're the ones who are telling your little black boys that they can't amount to nothing, And so anyway, I kind of, thought about it, and it made me think about even in the Trump era. And I said, what's crazy, and I'm gonna sound like such a coon when I say this, is I said, and people have said something to this effect, but I had to really solidify my thinking on this because I don't think Trump is a good president just in general. I just don't think he's cut out to be a president. He's not presidential, right? I hope we can agree, at least agree. Even if you voted for him, I don't even hate you if you voted for him, but just agree with me that he ain't presidential. So, you getting on your Twitter, you sound like a dumb mumble rapper, like starting beefs with everybody. Like you're not presidential, right? He has really devalued the office. We know these things, but perhaps the best thing that about this presidency is you have no illusions anymore that the people in the White House are your friends. You're not going around slacking off and chilling and getting comfortable because you think that you've got people in the White House working on your behalf. You've concluded, that this guy he's out there. He says what's on his mind. He's fighting with everybody. Now he's fighting with all these black female reporters, which I don't even like that. Now when he was talking about the immigrant stuff, that stuff was like, well, I'm not an immigrant. I'm not an illegal immigrant. So I got enough problems. I'm a black man. I got enough issues to worry about. I ain't trying to be worried about somebody who's trying to leave their own country and come to ours. Like, that just really is not in my purview. But, you're talking about black women. It's like, okay, come on, man. You ain't got to do that. Are you talking about the athletes? Like, oh, come on, what's going on? So I think with Trump, you certainly there's a correct sentiment, I believe, that black people's interests are not at the top of his agenda, right? I don't believe that they are. I believe that the top of his agenda is the interests of white males, particularly wealthy white males. I believe he takes care of his friends on Wall Street, his friends that do business, things like that. I don't believe poor people are in his interest. I don't believe that black people are at the top of his interest. Although I don't think black people are always number one on his target list either. I think that's why, and that's the thing. That's how racism confuses you. Racism makes you think that any white person who says anything that a black person does not like, that they must hate all black people. And I don't think that's true. And the reason I say that is because I'm really talking about myself. if you really recorded me in private conversation talking about white people, you would hear some pretty horrible shit. Like you would hear me say some things about white people that would make you think I can't stand white people. If you go look at my videos and see how I've confronted white supremacy, if I'm a white guy and I'm looking at me and listening to me talk, I would be very afraid. I would think this guy voice is going to hate me no matter what. So when you meet me and I shake your hand and say, hey, nice to meet you, let's have lunch, it's confusing. You're like, wait a minute, but I thought you hated all white people, because that's what they do. They say that, oh, well, if you're black and you're empowered and you speak on black power issues, then you must hate all white people. And then they're surprised when you're nice to them. Right. And really what it is like, no, I don't hate all white people. I just don't like that white person over there. Or I don't like this thing white people did, or I don't think white people should support this, but I don't hate every white person I meet. So I think Trump could be in that category. He has his values. He's an old conservative white male. He believes in like the police state. He believes in big business. He's a Republican for the most part in terms of his thinking, and that doesn't align with a lot of the values in the black community. But that also explains why you see black people, because black people are diverse, and you have the right to be diverse. You have black people who are like, I don't care if you don't like me. Don't matter. I don't like you either. But can we do business together? If we can do business and I can make money, you can make money, then we good, right? And I'm not saying that that's the right approach, but I'm saying that it will explain also why, Malcolm X would meet with leaders of white hate groups, because they would be in agreement. They say, look, let's not even pretend to be friends, because then we ain't got to have our feelings hurt over a false friendship. I know you don't like my kind. I don't like your kind. But that's okay, because it's not my responsibility to take care of your people and not your responsibility to take care of my people. I got my people. You got your people. Let's make an agreement where we can stay out of each other's way and both mutually benefit on some sort of agreement or partnership, so that I can do what I got to do for my people. Now, and I'm not saying that that's always that's the only approach or the right approach. I'm saying that is an approach. You do have situations like that. You see in gangster movies where two mobster families will meet up and they'll show respect to each other, but make no mistake about it. Like, I would kill you if I could, or I would take what you have if I get the opportunity, but I'm not going to do that, because I just want to create peace so that I can build my family, you build your family. And we're not playing this bullshit game of some rainbow coalition that isn't actually real. You see, integration created a false coalition that made you believe that these people have your best interests at heart, and they actually don't. So my argument, the reason I end up pissing people off, is I'm the guy who says, this is all bullshit. This is a fake marriage. This ain't real. Ain't no respect in here. Why don't we just get a divorce? That way we can negotiate with complete clarity. We can talk to each other as if, look, I know you don't like me. You think I'm a dumb nigga. Well, that doesn't matter actually to me, because I don't really care what you think about me. I might think you're a dumb white boy, and who cares? Can we help each other? If we can't help each other, then let's just go. If we can, then let's talk. That, I think, is a better, clearer conversation than one where black people are looking for everybody to tell them that we're beautiful, or to tell us that we're nice, or to not insult us or hurt our feelings by saying bad things about us. I don't even like it when people get all riled up over, oh, well, they're racist. Did you see the way they looked at that black person? So what? Do they care do they care when I look at them? When I'm like, look at that Asian motherfucker over there. Look at that Chinese guy. What the hell? Like, if I'm doing it, do you really think the whole Chinese community is going to get riled up because I said that? No, they don't care. They're like, well, you either buy your soda or you leave store. You hurry up and buy. Like that, you hurry up and buy. Like, they don't give a fuck what I think about them. They're not going to waste 1 ounce of energy doing anything other than get me to make sure I pay for my ice cream when I walk about that corner store. That's all they give a fuck about. They're like, you can keep your opinions at home, because your opinions don't mean shit up in this store. Right. So I personally think that we can learn something from that. Let me kind of nail it down for you, for people in the back, people who don't quite get it. I'm gonna tell you a little secret. And this is something. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. By the way, if you're on YouTube or Instagram or anywhere else, please hit the thumbs up button, the share button, like button, subscribe button. Also, if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel where I go live, go to drboystv.com. That's drboystv.com. Also, if you want to be connected via text message, text the word Boyce to 31996. Text my name Boyce to 31996. Okay, so here's the thing. Here are a few specific reasons, just to make it clear and simple. Again, intelligent black people will understand this. Everyone who gets mad, just you don't really have to be here. You don't have to watch. Okay, so this is for people who get it, or who at least are open to other points of view. You don't even have to agree. You just listen. Just hear me out. All right, here's some areas where I think that we benefit from the Trump presidency in ways that maybe we can't see right away. Number one, I think that that Trump being elected kind of put the Democrats on tilt, like put them on notice, like, whoa, wait a minute, we can't just assume all black people are going to show up and vote for us. We might actually have to do something to get them to want to vote. And the first thing they'll do, right, is try to guilt trip you, like, oh, your ancestors died for you to vote, or oh, you if you don't vote, you don't count. Just they repeat these things. That's what they love to say, and then some of us fall for that, and it works, right? It works on, like, if you go on like your favorite urban hip hop station or some gospel station or something, like, it might work for people that just know how to just follow the crowd and do what they're told to do. But for smarter people, they're kind of like, no, like, that's not enough. Like, I know my ancestors are dead. And I also know that you ain't saying nothing about no reparations. You're going to talk all day. You saying that, wait, we should celebrate my dead ancestors' legacy by voting? How about we celebrate my dead ancestors by you writing a motherfucking check for the fact that you killed them in the first goddamn place? How about we do that? How about you write the check for reparations? You know what? Write that check for write black people a check for about $5 trillion on reparations. You put something on it, put 5 on it, and I will vote for you every damn election. I will show up early. I'll register for early voting. I'll even break the law and vote twice and risk going to prison just to pay you back for you doing the right thing and writing that check on reparations. If you can't write no check, if you can't put no money on what you're saying, then your talk is cheap. You need to put your money where your mouth is. You tell me that you're sad about my dead ancestors, then show me, goddammit. Don't just tell me, show me. Write a check. If you ain't wrote a check, then it don't mean nothing. All you give me is words. Talk is cheap. Okay, so that's the first thing. I think that, when you look at what happened in the election, right? You saw where Trump got elected, the whole world, everybody's scared and some of that. Just like everybody was scared, like when Reagan got elected, right? That's kind of what the same thing, same pattern happens over and over again. And I think it made them say, like, okay, wait a minute, we can't take black voters for granted and we can't scare them anymore because they're not as dumb as they used to be. So maybe next time we can actually deliver policy. I can guarantee you, all the people that are complaining about the things that I'm saying, all these, ridiculous Negroes on TV that are getting paid money by the Democrats to say what they're told to say, the Angela Rye's of the world or whatever, and the Van Joneses, they hear me, they hear people like me, and they're getting scolded by their bosses who are saying, wait a minute, you got to shut this down. Like, these Negroes are out here running their mouths and they're telling black people to think for themselves, and we can't have black people thinking for themselves. We need them to do what we want them to do, right? So what they're going to do, and this is a good cop, bad cop. We're actually working together, Angela Rye. I can't stand your punk ass, but I'm going to help you. So what's going to happen is now she can go back and say, well, I don't like this guy. I don't like Boyce, and he's not even a very good looking man, but you know what? He has a point. You guys actually might be able to get black people to vote for you if you actually do something for black people. So it's good cop, bad cop. I'm the bad cop. I'm the loudmouth Negro who's yelling on the internet and pissing them off because people listen to me, right? And you're the Negro that's like in the house sitting next to Massa, and you get to tell Massa, like, well, if you actually do put a couple $2 billion behind black businesses, then I can shut Boyce up by launching an initiative where we're helping black men come out of prison and start companies, or we're helping black women to start organizations that are actually going to employ their own people, right? So that's how you work together. That's how you get it done. So ultimately, we're paying a temporary price, but there will be long-term benefits. That's really true. Second thing is, I think the other way that some folks can benefit from a Trump or any Republican that's in office is that, remember, all these politicians, especially the Republicans, but the Democrats too, at the end of the day, they have things that they care about more than other things, right? And the number one thing they usually care about is the state of the economy and the stock market. That's what they're looking at. They're looking at how the stock market's going to go. If the stock market crashes, if you have a mass shooting and a stock market crash on the same day, they will spend more time talking about the stock market crash and how to fix that before they talk about the mass shooting. Because you know how you can fix the mass shooting, right? Maybe gun control or something, shit like that. But they don't want to do that. They're never going to fix that. We're going to always have mass shootings. It's never going to end. It's going to always happen for the rest of our lives. I'm willing to bet you. But if the stock market goes down, then they're thinking, okay, well, let's take some of these trillions we have access to and let's pump that money back into the economy to get the economy going. Let's save the economy. Let's save the market. Why? Well, because they're selfish bastards. All these politicians are selfish bastards. They don't care about you. They don't care about the country. They care about themselves. And most of them have investments in the stock market. Most of them are business-minded, business-oriented people. That's why they're a bunch of rich assholes from Harvard and Yale, right? Because they're thinking about business and thinking about money. That's how you get money. You think about it. You got to process it. You got to learn about it. That's why I'm telling you guys. Wait, I'm putting my finance professor hat on for a minute, and I want to tell you that people who have money are people who think about money. So I'm gonna put my finance professor hat on, right? I got this hat, and it's my black finance professor hat, and it says black finance professor. So let me put on my black finance professor hat and give you like a quick financial tip. You know, my PhD's in finance, so I can't walk away from the money part because money matters, right? And so even the Wu-Tang Clan, they said cream moves everything around me, right? So here's the thing. If you want to know where the money's at, all you got to get money for your family, and because that's really what's going to determine how your life turns out. Figure out where the money is, and then pay attention to the people that have the money and kind of go where they are, right? Like if you look at rich people, they aren't really necessarily putting their energy into like, you know, arguing over like abortion or LGBT issues or whatever, or like watching TV and wasting time. Like they're thinking about their investments, like they're buying property, they're buying stocks and bonds, they're starting businesses, things like that. So if you are a stock investor, for example, it doesn't matter who's in office. The stock market has risen in Democratic administrations. It has risen during Republican administrations. So by being an investor, you get to just basically ride along the wave that they're riding on. In fact, that's actually literally one of the theories we learned in my PhD program, that a lot of investors do well by literally following what the rich investors are doing. They're like, we ain't even gonna think about it. We assume you've already thought about this, so we just gonna do whatever the fuck you do. Because we know that Warren Buffett ain't gonna do nothing that's gonna be bad for Warren Buffett's wallet. Warren Buffett's always gonna make sure Warren Buffett's pockets are full. So we're gonna, whatever the hell, like they have I swear to God, they Stash, I believe, they have a portfolio which says something like buy like Buffett. So literally all you do is you literally are replicating Warren Buffett's investments. That's how you do it. All right, I'm gonna take my finance professor hat off and put it to the side because we're not gonna talk just about money stuff. The third thing I would say is that I think that the reason that we benefit when a Republican's in office or when a Trump's in office, not that this is my favorite status. I mean, it happens, right? If a Democrat's in office, you work with that. If a Republican's in office, you work with that. Another reason I think we benefit is that, you know, I think that there's nothing that focuses people more than having like this common enemy, like having this common enemy that scares you. I know a lot of black folks who only operate when they're afraid. That's why the Democrats try to scare you into voting, because they're like, we can't just get them inspired to vote. We can't just motivate them to vote. We can't just encourage them to vote. We can't just talk them into voting. We got to scare the shit out of these Negroes, and they'll go run into the polls because they think they all gonna die if they don't vote on Tuesday, right? So honestly, fear can sometimes be a good thing. The fear factor can actually work. That's why politicians use it. If you look at most political ads, look at the studies, they found that they tried different ads. They were like, well, let's try ads where we talk about how much of a family man the politician is, and it didn't work. Let's run ads where we talk about all the great things that he's gonna do if he's elected, and it didn't work. Let's run an ad where we talk about all of his accomplishments throughout his life and how much he loves the community, and it didn't work. The ads that worked were either attack ads or fear-mongering ads. Their goal in most political ads, and it's bad in Illinois, like around election time, I don't even watch TV because every damn commercial has like 8 or 9 political ads. Every ad will feature the person's opponent, and they'll use real dark lighting and a real ugly picture where they're looking like this, and like bad music, like horror music designed to trigger you into being afraid, right? On a very deep, almost animalistic kind of level, like reptilian level, like, ooh, I don't know who that is, but I'm scared of him. And then they'll be like, oh, and he wanted to cut money that was gonna fight cancer for babies. Do you want to vote for somebody who wants to give cancer to babies? No, I don't want to vote for a demon who gives cancer to babies. And that's what makes people vote. That's why all the ads are negative. That's why all the ads are fear mongering. So I would say if people are going to use fear against you, use fear in your favor. Use fear in your favor. Ain't nothing that scares black people more than Republicans and Donald Trump, right? So, okay, so people are scared. And check it out. When you're afraid, you find that people rise to the occasion. I know, think about this. How many Negroes do you know? I had a friend like this. I swear to God, who told me this. She had a business. The business could have made $1 million. And the problem was her business never got off the ground because she literally could not find the discipline to get up and work on her business every day. Even 3-4 hours a day, she couldn't even do that. She would just sleep until 12, get distracted, watch TV, get on the phone with her friends, go watch the movies, whatever. And then I talked to her later and I said, so what are you up to? How's your business? She said, oh, I gave up the business. I work now, right? And now she works a job where she has to work 12 hours a day for like $15 an hour. She gets up at 4 or 5 in the morning to take the bus. She's there every day on time and is putting 12, 13 hours a day into this job. And I was like, I don't understand why that seems like that seems torturous. That doesn't sound like fun. Like, why would you choose that over running your business? And she said, well, I found that when somebody's making me do something, or when I'm afraid that of the consequences of being late, or I have to go to work to make sure I pay bills, that motivates me. So a lot of people can't do something unless they're forced to do it. And so in the Trump administration or Reagan era or whatever, I think that you would sometimes see Black folks unify in ways that we never unified before, because we are so scared and we're like, oh my God, we have to do this now. Before it was optional, now we have to do it. That's why before integration happened, Black people had more businesses than we have right now. That's why before integration happened, our children were better educated than they are now. Most of the studies show that Black people are not better off. If you compare 1967 to 2018, we are not better educationally. We're worse off than we were before integration. Economically, in terms of income ranking, that hasn't changed at all since integration, right? Wealth levels hasn't changed at all since integration. In fact, actually, this generation, Black wealth is going backward. So the question is, like just being real, I had to come to a really ugly realization that said that I might be a coon. And the realization was, I looked back and I said, I hate racism. I hated it when they treated me differently because I was Black. But that motivated me more than damn near anything else that I experienced. In fact, I look back and I say, man, if white people had been nicer to me, I wouldn't be half the man that I am right now. Half of my accomplishments I wouldn't have accomplished if they had just made things easy for me. Like if they had just been like, oh, come on, boys, we love you. We want Black people here. Like, let us give you a job, boy. You can come and work for us and you can work with us forever. We love Negroes and we're going to treat you extremely well. And you're always going to have a job here. You're even going to get a promotion. And what would have happened was I would have been very comfortable and I would have maybe risen up the corporate ladder. I would have made probably about 1/20th of what I make right now, but I wouldn't have the freedom that I have now. I wouldn't have the skill that I have now. I wouldn't have many of the things that I have now that came from being strong. I wouldn't have those things because I never would have had a battle that strengthened me, right? So the battle I've had with the white man and with white supremacy and racism has been one of the greatest gifts from God that I can ever imagine. Like going to the University of Kentucky at that time and dealing with white professors who I knew did not like me because I was Black. That motivated me to study 10 times harder than all the white boys. In graduate school, when I was writing in the campus newspaper, knowing that these white people hated every word that came out of my brilliant Black mind made me that much more motivated to just eat them up. Like every article, I'd be like, I'm gonna eat them up today. I'm gonna tear them down. I mean, anybody who went to the University of Kentucky, some of y'all might even be in here watching. You remember those days back when I was at Kentucky. I lit that campus up. Dealing with racism at Syracuse University when I got my first job, I could have easily slid into the space of the comfortable Negro. If I were a different person and if it were a different place, I could see where it could have worked out well, where they could have made me comfortable. I made them comfortable. We lived happily ever after. But if that had actually worked out in that way, I wouldn't be where I am right now. Because what pushed me to where I am now is the fact that they rejected me and didn't give me the good nigga sticker. So once I didn't have that, I was free to be who I was. And I had to work 10 times harder because I knew nobody was going to be there to just give me a paycheck no matter what I did. So I'm not trying to say at the end of the day, I'm not trying to say racism's okay. I'm not trying to say that at all. I'm not trying to say that white folks, are wonderful people. We know that they're not wonderful people. I'm not doing a memo that, that can be used on Fox News that says like, thank you for racism. I'm not thanking white people for racism. You don't ever glorify somebody for trying to harm you. You don't glorify, you might be a stronger person because, you got beat up or somebody tried to stab you to death, but you don't thank the person that stabbed you for stabbing you, right? But you can thank God for putting you through experiences that toughened you and took you to a level that you never thought you could go. You understand? There are Black folks in history who truly found their greatness because they were called to battle. You know, that this struggle against white supremacy is not just a curse. If you wrap it up the right way, it can be the greatest blessing that you've ever had in your life, because it gives you a reason to achieve and a reason to push and a reason to believe and a reason to grow. You know, like seriously, I feel sorry for rich white people who have everything handed to them, because I believe many of them, you know, kill themselves, get hooked on drugs, or go jump off the sides of mountains and shit because they don't have anything to fight for. They don't have a purpose. People with no purpose are a lot like animals out in the orchard or whatever the hell, like cows just sitting in the pasture, just sitting there chewing on grass, waiting to die. Like people with no purpose, I feel bad for them, because all they know how to do is get up, go to work, come home, go to bed, get up, go to work, come home, go to bed, rinse and repeat that process every day for the next 50,000 days. And then one day you just die. Like that's not a fun life to me. Right. So the fact is that I believe racism and the battle against white supremacy and the opportunity we have to improve our community, to fight for something great for our future, I think that is the greatest blessing you could ever have. And I encourage you to embrace that. And no matter who's in office, whether it's Democrat or Republican, just know the number one factor that determines your outcomes is what you do with your life. Again, I watched my parents at the start of the Reagan era start off in poverty. They ended the Reagan era in the middle class. They started the Reagan era without a college degree. They ended the Reagan era with a college degree. They started the Reagan era with bad credit. They ended the Reagan era with good credit. They started the Reagan era paying rent and subsidized housing. They ended the Reagan era owning a home. It does not mean that Ronald Reagan was a good person or that Ronald Reagan wanted them to win. But what black folks must understand is that the nature of competition means that your enemy, your competitor, is never going to want you to win. But you win anyway. You congratulate yourself for winning. You don't look for your opponent to say, good job, Negro. We're so proud of you. But that's what we do. We end up looking to the people who hate us the most to tell us that we're worthy, which is an absolute mistake. So as Harvey says, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That is absolutely true. You got to go through something to go get something. So if you're going through something right now, if you're going through it right now, if you are at the pits of hell, if you're at the bottom of the basement right now, I want to just stop and tell you congratulations. Congratulations on this amazing opportunity for you to do something great and for you to grow in ways that you never thought you could grow. And I want to encourage you to, as you deal with the fear, feel the fear, but after you finish processing the fear, put that to the side and realize that beneath that fear, there's a tremendous amount of potential. The Navy SEALs actually have this rule that they call the 40% rule. And the guy was like, well, what's the 40% rule? Well, he said, the 40% rule works like this. He said, one time I was going to meet with a trainer who was a former Navy SEAL, and he went to my house. On the first day, he said, okay, do 5 push-ups. And the guy did the 5 push-ups, and he could barely do the 5 push-ups. And he said, okay, now I need you to do 100 push-ups for me. And the guy was like, what are you talking about? That's insane. I can't do 100 push-ups. He said, well, we're not going to leave until you do 100 push-ups. So the guy did them literally 2 at a time, 1 at a time, whatever. And I mean, he was broken down, exhausted by the time he was done. And he said he said, now you see, it took you all day, but you did do 100 push-ups. And the 40% rule is basically this, and I love it. The 40% rule says that when you go and you try to accomplish something and you give it everything that you've got, when you give it everything that you believe that you have to accomplish that goal, and you are done, exhausted, you can't move another inch, you can't do another ounce of, you can't put forth another ounce of energy to accomplish anything. Literally, the Navy SEALs argue that you only actually hit about 40% of your potential max. And that's if you've gone as far as you can go. That as far as you think you can go is usually about 40%. Now, how do you access the other 60%? Well,